Greetings, my friends. George here from No Nonsense Metal Reviews. Here today to pay tribute, pay my respects to a legend that has very unexpectedly and very sadly passed away. Of course, you've probably seen the announcements. There's a lot of respect and tributes pouring from the music world for this very tragic passing of Phil Campbell, former Motörhead guitarist, exceptional talent, absolute legend, great personality, has tragically passed away at the very young, really, age of 64. He was only 64 years old. Phil had recently had an operation. He had had a major operation. There was some sort of complication, and unexpectedly, Phil passed away. And it actually really is a big shock. I've been a big Motörhead fan for many years, since the age of about 14. And I would honestly say that Phil Campbell was such an extraordinary talent. He was an incredible guitar player, and I've always really loved his playing. He had such a signature sound, and he was just a brilliant guitarist, brilliant musician, made it look and sound almost effortless. You know, he just appeared so laid back in his approach, in the way that he performed and played. It was really awe-inspiring. I'm pleased to have been able to actually see Motörhead 4 times in total, and was always absolutely blown away by just how fantastic a musician Phil was. Truly something special. Of course, he went on after the conclusion of Motörhead in 2015, following the tragic death of Lemmy. Of course, did go on to be very active. He remained very active right up until the end. Of course, he released a solo album. I think Old Lions Still Raw. He then went and released a load of great material under Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, alongside 3 of his sons, I believe. And he's just always been an ever-present force of rock. And I think that this is a very tragic loss that will really be felt within the rock and metal communities, certainly. You know, he joined Motörhead in 1984, and I was actually just reflecting on this. You see the gaps in the collection. He was present and performing on 16 Motörhead studio albums, which is a whole lot of Motörhead. Countless live albums as well, all of which he just sounds absolutely fantastic on, of course. But really, his sound and his style, just as iconic and defining as that of the late legends Fast Eddie Clarke and Filthy Animal Taylor, of course. I think that this is a real tragic loss of a really extraordinary talent, and another member of the Motörhead assembly that is tragically no longer with us. Of course, Mikkey D has recently announced that he is going on the road performing Motörhead classics from I assume from his era mainly, but he's going to be taking Motörhead tracks on the road, and he is an extraordinary musician as well, absolutely incredible drummer. But that trio, that lineup that was consistent from when Mikkey joined the band, Lemmy, Phil Campbell, Mikkey D, that trio, pretty untouchable. You know, the classic early 3 Amigos, absolutely, that's classic stuff. But Phil, what a talent, what a player. He, in my opinion, he really just defines the Motörhead sound. That thick, rumbling bass, Lemmy's gruff, growling voice, Mikkey D, absolutely blinding drummer, absolutely incredible. But Phil Campbell's amazing guitar playing is really what made it. And it is, as I say, a huge loss, So in respect and in tribute to this legend that is no longer with us, gone way too soon, I think that it's only right that we revisit these classic albums. And in fact, last night I revisited the first album to feature the brilliant Phil, Orgasmatron from 1986, then worked through the exceptional and highly underrated Rock and Roll album, which followed on a year or so later, I believe 87. Then, of course, we had a few years, we had about a 4-year gap, but came back strong with a really good album that I particularly like. I think 1916 is a fantastic one, and certainly for Phil's brilliant playing, and then March Will Die as well. So, I could go on. I'm not going to go through all 16 of these albums, but there's not a bad album that featured Phil. Certainly not. And as I say, seeing Motörhead live, that brilliant 3-piece that we had present from the 90s onwards was certainly something to behold. An amazing assembly, and just such brilliant talents. Absolutely fantastic. So if you're looking to pay your respects, listen to Phil doing what he did best, just dancing around the fretboard there. Any of these many Motörhead live albums that we get, check them out, because Phil was always a fine player and a great crowd interactor as well. Of course, in the latter years, Lemmy was a little bit less vocal in the kind of crowd interaction, still having a bit of banter here and there, but you could always rely on Phil getting the crowd to respond, to scream louder than they've ever screamed before. And it was just a great thing, great personality you could always rely on. So really quite saddened by this one, I have to admit. I think, as I say, this is going to be felt deeply by the heavy music world and the rock world. And actually, I did read some lovely tributes, really emotive tributes from Mickey D, of course, his comrade, his brother from Motörhead, and also a very fitting tribute from Doro Pesch as well. But of course, there'll be tributes flooding in from all over the music world, and rightfully so, because Phil Campbell, rest in peace, my friend. Absolute freaking legend. You deserve all the love that's being sent your way, and actually, total love and positive vibes to, and well wishes to his family, who must be really feeling the great sadness of the loss of Phil. So, my friends, please do feel free to share your comments and your thoughts and feelings on this very sad news, of course. But what are your favourite Phil moments? Let's think positively over all those great memories that we all must have of Phil and his great playing, great presence on stage. What are your favourite Phil Campbell moments on album? What are your memories from seeing Motörhead live? Let's remember with love and respect a true legend. Absolutely. So, my friends, another legend gone too soon, but we will remember with love and fondness, of course. Thanks for watching this humble tribute review. Do listen to some Motörhead, turn it up loud, listen to Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, and pay respects to a legend. Take care, my friends. Until next time, rest in peace, Phil Campbell, and stay heavy.